Hey, welcome back to another wooden clock, homemade wooden clock update. Yeah. So here's where we're at. It's Thursday. So far, so good. Still on schedule. If I stick to my schedule, I should be ready to start assembly by New Year's Day. So here's where I'm at. I've got clock frames. I've got some proper sandpaper, finishing sandpaper, 320 grit. I've also found these neat little sponges. It's 320 grit sandpaper sponge. So I'm gonna give that a shot and see if that helps. Also today, for the first time, I got a proper sanding block. Put a little piece of sandpaper in there. This, I like it. I wish I had it a long time ago because I have been using sandpaper with my hands and an orbital sanding tool, which is the loudest, most obnoxious thing ever. Louder than like a McLaren P1, I tell you what. It's just crazy. So I've got a bunch of other stuff. I've decided on a color scheme. We're going to do natural color for the gears and moving parts, and then we're going to do light walnut for the stationary parts, like the frame. Okay, and then we've got some lacquer. I almost bought some spray-on lacquer. No, some brush-on lacquer in a can, but I decided to go with the spray lacquer. For now, when I get to the point where I lacquer it, I can always go get the can if I decide I want it. I've got matte and satin. I'm probably just going to stick with the matte because I don't want it to look plasticky or shiny too much, like I don't want it to look like furniture that's got a wax coating on it. No, I want it to look like it's made of wood, but I want it to be strong and durable and have a hard shell on it. So I'm going to try matte finish lacquer. I don't know the difference between lacquer and polyurethane. I've watched a bunch of videos, I've talked to people. Nobody can give me a substantial reason why to use one over the other. I just wanted to go with the hardest shell available on the gears and the surfaces that rub together. So hopefully that will prolong its life and prevent wear. So I have been spending today using this sanding sealer. Now originally I just brushed it onto the frame, and I talked to my stepfather, who has been doing woodworking for his entire life, and he said, looks like there's barely any on there. You should dip the parts. So that's what I did. I got a pizza tray, dumped all the sanding sealer on there, and just dipped these parts. It was like battering them as though I'm going to make chicken strips or something. So I've got all my parts here hanging on a peg wall drying. All the parts. And we'll see how they turn out. But for now, since I've already sanded and sealed the frame, don't really see a purpose in continuing and putting another coat on there for now. So I'm playing with these sandpapers just to see what I get. Got a piece of frame. Oh yeah. This is much quieter than an orbital sander. I can actually talk to people, listen to music. It's nice. So this is a lot easier than trying to hold the sandpaper in my hand. Maybe I'll get more done. I got a long way to go. So sanding today, tomorrow, Saturday. I'm going to sand and lacquer it on Saturday. All the parts. I guess I need to get the frame and stationary parts sanded first because they are going to take a staining step. And then while they're drying, I can work on the moving parts. I like that plan. One thing I haven't really addressed yet are all the dowel rods that's going to go in here. I don't really have the dowel rods cut, and that's because I'm still in a kind of a design process with this clock. I want to get it as thin as possible. Right now, I think it's just over 8 inches thick on the wall. Like, sticks out of the wall more than half a foot, which is crazy. It's going to be, it's like a spare tire mounted on the wall. So, what I'm hoping is that when I actually get it assembled, I will see, and it will become obvious to me, a way that I can make the clock thinner. And so I'm not committed to its thickness yet, so I have not cut the dowel rods that I'm going to use yet. Once I'm ready for the assembly, that's when I have to decide on the length. So I'm going to put some dowel rods in, but I'm not going to glue them. I'm just going to put them in for temporary, cut them where I think, then make some adjustments and see how thin I can get this clock, because it's really quite thick. I feel like it's thicker than it needs to be, and if I make some improvements to my design, I might be able to fix that. So we'll see. So right now I'm playing with this vulcanized rubber sanding block. It's nice. And then for like edges and corners and stuff, I've got this. Hoping it'll help with some of the smaller places. Doesn't seem like it's quite as, I don't know, professional as the actual vulcanized rubber block. But, I mean, it may come through in a pinch. I got a pack of these. I also got one 150 grit for, like, if I really got a mistake. Of course, I'm going to continue to use the Dremel for the small parts, gears, teeth, etc. And I will also use the Dremel to polish all of this once it's lacquered. Particularly the edges of the gears where I know it's going to rub on a nice smooth surface. Okay, I think that's about all I have to report for today. Sorry about all the noise. I'm in my garage playing, as men do. Yeah, these parts drying. No idea what I'm doing. But I do want to document enough of this process that you can follow along at home with my plans. When I'm finally done, I'm going to sell the plans. And these are the instructions, because I'm far too lazy to document all this stuff properly. Here's something I've been arguing with myself about. Is it really important to do all of this? The sanding sealer, the staining, the lacquering, all that stuff. I get the impression that just a good once over with the sanding, and the clock could be ready to be assembled right there. You wouldn't have to put any kind of finish on it. And that's fine. I get the impression that it would run, but for how long? Because this being my first clock, if this becomes a thing, I want this one to last forever. I want this one to be a family heirloom. Outlive me at least. Shouldn't be too difficult. But if you just want to make one for the fun of making it and have it for a good decade or so, then you probably don't even need to bother with all of the staining and sealing and lacquering and polishing. Probably don't even need to do all that. Just, round off the edges, smooth off the splinters, and you're good to go. But don't take that as the gospel, because I don't know. I've never done this before, believe it or not. Stay. Give that one a spin. That one a spin. Don't want drips to form. Spin. Good, yes. More. Okay. Like I said, this is everything other than the dowel rods. This is it. Thank you. I'm sorry if it took far too much of your time, but Have a good evening. Wish me luck.